This new weekly dividend ETF by RoundHill is different than anything we've seen in the weeklies so far. And I'll be honest, I'm very, very excited. We are talking about ticker WEEK, the new RoundHill weekly T-bill ETF. If you're not familiar with T-bills, it's actually something I'm pretty familiar with. So we're going to cover all of this, including their fact sheet and more, and talk about how this fund could be utilized. Now, I'll be honest, I'm very excited. Not just because we have a new weekly payer, but I think this is going to be vastly different in performance compared to all of the other weekly payers that we've seen. And I'm very, very excited and really anticipating some pretty solid and consistent dividends with no NAV erosion. You know, it might change. Only time will tell, but this could be the zero NAV erosion fund, which has some pros and cons that go with it, of course. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you do, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and we continue to grow. We're almost to 10,000 subscribers, where I'll be doing a massive giveaway, and I'm really, really excited for that as well. So thank you guys so much. Let's roll that intro. Starting off on the good old fact sheet for ticker WEEK from RoundHill, I'm going to cover everything on here, and then we're going to look at T-bills specifically because this is a T-bill ETF. We're going to talk about that for those that may not know how T-bills work. I actually know quite a bit. I don't buy T-bills myself, but my parents have been buying them for a very long time, and they love them. So I actually called my dad to talk about this with him, and he was like, whoa, that's interesting. Never thought about that, because he's a little more old-fashioned with his investing. But still, it's really, really cool. Maybe I'll even get him to buy some if it ends up being a consistent payer. Who knows? After that, I'm going to kind of do a breakdown on what I'm going to do with this one. It is a little bit different. I'm probably still just going to put it in our weekly dividend ETF account. But on top of that, what I would do with this in my normal investment account, because I am debating starting a position because it seems like it's going to be consistent, but we'll touch base on all of that and more, of course. So starting off, Week seeks to pay distributions every week, offering a recurring income stream for shareholders. Beautiful. That's what we want. There's a couple things that really stand out about this that we don't know the yield yet, but I'm going to give some speculation on what it's going to be roughly. And then we have a cash alternative point where they say Week provides exposure to U.S. Treasury bills with maturities between 0 to 3 months, providing an attractive vehicle for investors, emphasizing capital preservation. Now, this is really interesting because capital preservation means you're not making money, you're just preserving it. You're holding it. While you are going to be making money in the dividends, of course, it's kind of going against what we've seen with a lot of the weekly payers, which is NAV erosion. And point 3 is stable NAV. Week seeks to target stable NAV week over week. This stuff is hard to read. Why would you use week over week in the week RoundHill weekly T-bill ETF fact sheet? Like all these words, it's insane. Anyways, I've tried to record this like 20 times, and I just can't talk. So I'm starting to lose my mind just a little bit. But anyways, we can see the expense ratio is very low, 0.19%, which isn't, I shouldn't say very low. It's pretty low. It's low compared to a lot of the other weekly payers, to all the other weekly payers, which is good. We have an AUM of 1 million, but it's interesting. The inception date was March 6th. We haven't been paid yet, which might have something to do with the cycle of buying the T-bills. But there's a lot that goes into these. They're different. If you're not familiar with T-bills, it's not going to make a lot of sense. So I will try and explain it a little bit. So overview. The RoundHill Weekly T-bill ETF is a short-term Treasury bill ETF designed to pay weekly distributions of current income to shareholders. Week is the first of its kind ETF that targets a stable NAV week over week, and it's an actively managed ETF. Well, stable NAV is what I've been looking for. I'll be honest. We've all seen the market get absolutely shredded recently, and it just is nice to have something to buy into at times when the market's not doing great. You don't have to hold it forever. You put it in there, and you can get a decent amount of returns. You know, and we don't know the return yet, so I'm not going to say. I will speculate a little bit on what it's going to be based off my experience with T-bills, but I think it's a really cool idea. It's something that's different. It's lower maintenance. So if you guys don't know, T-bills, normally you have to buy them. You can buy them through your brokerage. You can buy them through the website. It's a government website. There's a lot of ways you can buy them, but you have to kind of continue buying them. And we'll touch base on all of those. I will say, I don't think it's going to be a high yielder. This is not going to be a 40% yield. So if you're expecting another 40, 50% yield for the weekly payers, it's not going to be that because it's going to have stable NAV. And that's the main trade-off that we're getting. So because you're not going to get huge payments, depending on how much you put in, huge percentage payments, you're also not going to see the thing just absolutely tank. At least that's what we hope. You may not even, I don't even know if there's going to be a chart for this. I guess there will be, but T-bills, it's not like a security that you hold, I don't think, that trades one way or another. It's simpler than that and safer than that. So I'm curious how they're going to actually make that work. Could be interesting to see over time. Again, I don't know. I know about T-bills. I don't know about this ETF specifically because, like they say, it's the first of its kind. And I'm really, really excited for it. I like mixing things up. I think it's phenomenal. Like I said, we are changing the world with how we're investing. We are making, RoundHill is so popular. I didn't even know about RoundHill until a year ago. Same thing with Defiance. Same thing with YieldMax. Well, I knew about YieldMax because it was absolutely insane. But our money is changing what these companies are making. And so I think that week has a really good opportunity for people that are less risk averse or more risk averse, that like risk less. If you're just, I am risk averse, I don't want to be, losing on my NAV, I want a retirement income, this might be for you. It's going to be a lower yield, but it's solid, and you don't have to do the T-bill purchases over and over and over again yourself. So we're going to jump into T-bills. We'll talk about those a little bit, how they work, a small breakdown, and I'm really curious. Oh, cat just jumped on my lap. I'm really curious what you guys think about this new ETF. So going over to NerdWallet, I really like their breakdown of T-bills. It's a beginner's guide, and it's easy. And even though we're not buying T-bills, it's useful to see exactly how this stuff is done. So T-bills are short-term U.S. debt securities. They're currently paying around 4% and are considered a risk-free investment if held to maturity. Crazy. Are there any other risk-free investments? Even high-yield savings accounts, which may yield a little bit more depending on which one you're looking at. They're not necessarily risk-free if they're not FDIC insured, if there's a number of other things, that could go wrong, if the bank goes under. It's just, it can be scary. These are risk-free. The only issue is if the U.S. government topples itself, which you never know. You never know. We're getting pretty old, 200-something years. But anyways, so what is a treasury bill? It's a short-term U.S. debt security issued by the federal government that mature in 4 weeks to 1 year. And this is where it's really interesting, and I'm not sure how this is going to relate into the ETF information, but the shorter maturity periods, my cat is literally trying to bite my hand. Can you guys see him? Barely. He's trying to bite me. But back to it. I get so distracted. U.S. government backs T-bills. They're considered virtually risk-free if held for the entire term. T-bills are typically sold in $100 increments and can be purchased online from the Treasury Department, a brokerage, or a bank. And here's how they're going to work. And this is different. I think they're really, really unique. I don't know of anything similar to T-bills, but they're assigned a par value or face value, which the bill is worth if held throughout the term. And the reason the government's doing this is to get, usually if we're in a deficit, if we're doing... He's just biting me. If we're in a deficit or anything like that and they need money, they'll do this because it's an easy way for them to have money immediately that's not costing them too terribly much. 4% is not that much to pay for over 1 year, of course. So it's for the government, really. It's not a bailout, but it is a way for us citizens to loan money to the government. And that's a cool way of looking at it, too. So you buy the bills at a discount, which is a price below par, and profit from the difference at the end of the term. Most common terms for T-bills are 4, 8, blah, 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 to 52 weeks. T-bills don't pay interest in the same way as other treasuries. Instead, you buy the bills at a discounted price and hold them till the end of term, till they mature. And this is what's cool. The way that they're running this ETF is you will get paid, in a way, interest. You're going to make your interest over time with these weekly payments. So they're going to be paying out, and I'm not sure how they're going to cycle it. I'm not sure because, again, I think the lowest you can go is 4 weeks. So are they going to have a reoccurring cycle of T-bills that are purchased at all different points so the weekly payouts are continuous? Are they going to have 4 large lump sums of money where they're continuing to do 4 weeks? I think they said 0 to 3 months, so they may vary. I don't know. We don't know all that yet. Maybe we will find out soon. It will be really interesting to know. But so they don't just pay interest. Once the term ends or reaches maturity, you receive the face value. And so they do a really good job. I love NerdWallet. I use their stuff for everything. But basically, yes, we're giving the government a short-term loan by buying T-bills, and they pay us back with interest at the end. So here's an example that's really, really cool. So they say if, let's say, May 15, 2024, the Treasury held auction for 17-week Treasury bills with an issue date of May 21 and a maturity date of September 17. The price is $100, amounted to $98.27, meaning you're paying $98.27 to get $100 at the end of this period of time. An annualized discount rate shown as a high rate in Treasury Direct is 5.225%. And I know what you're thinking, 5.225%. Here's the thing. It's 5.225% per year. So if you're only holding it for a month, you got to divide it by 12. If you're holding it for 6 months, divide it by 2. That's APY. It's how much you're paying every single year. Or how much you're getting paid every single year. It's not how much you are going to get on your money during that time. Because otherwise, everyone would just buy the 4 weeks, and you'd get 5% in 4 weeks versus 5% in a year. So that's how it works. And there might be some confusion on that. When I initially was looking into this stuff, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I talked with my dad, the old wizard accountant, and he explained it all to me in layman's terms. Because again, I've never bought these. I will say, I've always heard of them and heard the money of my parents making with them. And so it's also, if you're not interested in risk really at all, if you don't want to buy the RoundHill fund, buying T-bills can be insane. My mom can make a pretty decent amount of monthly income. You could even like retire on this. You potentially could. You need a ton of money, right? Because 5% a year you'll need a lot of money, but risk-free. Risk-free. So let's up the ante a little bit. If you bought $1,000 worth of T-bills in this auction, that means you would have paid $982.73 for that same time period. You'd receive $1,000, earning $1,727 on your investment. No complaints. And again, if you were to reinvest this T-bill for 1 year, and that's, look at me, look at my eyes, reinvestment, risk-free, stable NAV, reinvestment. So if you were to do this for 1 year and continually reinvest, you could arrive at an annual investment rate for your 17-week T-bill based on the actual purchase of $982.73. My cat is just, he's going insane. He's going insane. Look. He's angry. Why are you angry at me? I threw him on the bed. I didn't throw him on the ground. I love him. So like we can explore this. Like look at the T-bill calculator. So let's say face value, like let's go big. Let's say $10,000 and a discount rate of 4% and time to maturity, how many weeks? Let's say 4 weeks. What does this end up getting us? So with $10,000 at the end of 4 weeks, you will get $31.11 more than what you bought them for. And you can move this out. You know, we can do like 52 weeks. What would we get? $404. So again, are you going to retire off this? It would be tough, but potentially you could. Let's go 100,000. If you get $100,000, you're now getting $4,000 every single year. So yeah, you might not be able to retire off this at $1 million. Okay, you have $1 million. You're now going to get $40,000 a year, which is decent. But I want you to think about this. You know, we are all in different parts of our investment journeys. Maybe we're older, maybe we're near retirement and you want consistent income. Maybe we're younger and we just want something to pay into and to hold forever. Like that's why I'm so interested in how this one's actually going to work, because reinvesting could be insanely powerful, even at a low rate. But I've heard everyone talk about doing this on the channel, mostly through comments saying, oh, with the weeklies, I usually buy a certain amount. I don't reinvest, but I'll use all the dividends that I'm making to build a different position. And that's probably what I will end up doing with this. I'm probably going to have all of my cash left over in week if it really is NAV stable, because instead of like currently I have, I don't know, anywhere from 12 to 15% of my money in my Roth IRA in cash. I'm not buying anything with it. I've purchased a couple things, but I have a lot of money in cash. And so like, instead of having it in cash, I will have it in week, and my week will become my cash position, because even if it's 4%, think about that. You're earning 4%. What do you get at a bank? Like 0.04%. It's crazy. And so that's what I think is absolutely amazing with this. And like, you can really get up to making a good amount of money. I know $10 million. Are any of us ever going to have $10 million? I don't know. If my fiance really starts putting in the overtime, if you're watching this, baby, think about it. She's not going to watch this. But like, this is crazy. So with 10 million, you can get $400,000 a year in income, risk free. And so imagine a decent sized portfolio with a good chunk in week, and you're able to reinvest those dividends and just continue to grow. I know it's going to be slow growth, but it's going to be safe growth. And guess what? When the market's red like it is now, you don't have to worry. There's no timing the market. So I'm really, really curious what you guys think of this. That's kind of what I'm planning on doing, is opening a position and just using it as my cash position. When I'm, when I find a new investment that I like, I find a new ETF that's doing well, I sell some of week and I buy into that. Oh, this one's not doing so well, I sell that, I immediately buy week. Because instead of getting, pennies, I'm getting dollars, basically, would be the difference. And so you can go through, if you guys are interested, check out NerdWallet. They have a bunch of stuff, and they can talk about this stuff. Now, one thing I will mention is interest rates. T-bills are completely impacted by interest rates. So, like I said, when my parents really started diving into the T-bills, we had interest rates that were at 8%. And so they were making bank. They were making an insane amount of money doing 3-month T-bills. And, it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of money that you can make. He was chewing on my charger cord. Look at this demon. Before I was rudely interrupted. So I'm really curious how everyone is feeling about these. If you guys know about T-bills prior, I'm guessing the older generations of investors have used these in the past, maybe. If you guys have, let me know if you think it's worth it, not worth it. I want to know everyone's opinions for sure. But if interest rates run back up again, I guarantee that week is going to pay out more. And so if interest rates fall really low, it's going to pay out less. And that's just how it goes. It's the same as we saw with all the different high yield savings accounts. The difference really with this is that you're able to have it in your brokerage, in your Roth IRA, slowly growing and making you money. Now, the thing is I probably won't even put this in my Roth. I might have to keep it in my Roth either way. But if you were just trading on a normal brokerage account, it's lower risk. There's not a lot of growth, and there's steady, simple returns. So you're not going to be taxed like crazy. I mean, if you're making 4% a year, you're going to rather pay on that than if you're making 40% on MSTY. Something like that for sure. So really interesting stuff. I'm amazed that they are continuing to put out weekly dividend ETFs just like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed me absolutely nerding out on T-bills, which is, I say I'm a nerd. My fiance calls me a nerd. You guys know I'm a nerd, but hey, I'm a nerd that makes a little bit of money, 4%. So it's really interesting how this is going to all pan out. I will be putting it in the account so you guys can see how it trades, how it does compared to everything else, because that's the whole point of the channel, right? I want to show you guys what these investments are actually doing, and I'll be very, very transparent. I'm just going to buy it, and at least I'm not worried about losing $100, which I've been worried about with some of these other ones. Cough, cough, Defiance ETFs. But as always, I hope you guys know, I really appreciate you guys. Your comments are so kind. You guys are it's truly amazing. We're near that 10,000 mark, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. And I couldn't be more grateful to you guys. So thank you so, so, so much. If you guys enjoyed this video, you're going to enjoy these popping up on your screen right now, which is our weekly dividend ETF account update and another video that I really think you guys will like. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.